Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking yet another video and welcome if you're new. My name is Teddy G and on this channel I share what it's truly like to run and own a clothing brand, as well as dropping tips, tricks, gems and all of that good stuff. And recently I launched my very own online course called the Starter Kit. The Starter Kit is aimed at people that want to start a clothing brand but have no idea where to start. So I have packed it with so much information and resources. I even include the contact details to my very own Italian manufacturer. So if you're interested in truly starting your clothing brand, I will have the starter kit linked in my description and in my pinned comment. So in this video, we are going to be covering how exactly to spot a good manufacturer on Alibaba.com. There are thousands, okay, maybe not thousands, but there are a lot of videos on YouTube here that dive into how to find suppliers on Alibaba. But what actually makes a good supplier? You have found all of these suppliers, but how do you decide which one you should go for? That's what we're going to cover in this video, so let's dive straight in. So number one, which is probably most important, you need to make sure the supplier that you go for, the supplier that you found, has trade assurance and is a verified Alibaba supplier. Trade assurance is basically a service, a free service that is offered by Alibaba.com, and the aim of it is to basically create trust between you, the buyer, and the supplier on the platform. It covers safe payments, a money back policy, so say if something goes wrong, on-time shipping, and after sale protection. So ensuring that the supplier that you find on the Alibaba platform has got the trade assurance is definitely a major key. Number two, and this is definitely something that is very important to me, is ensuring that the supplier that you're talking to has good communication. Of course, the majority of the suppliers on Alibaba are probably from a country different to the country that you are from, which means that it's likely that their first language is not going to be the same first language as your first language. So ensuring that they are actually understanding what it is that you're saying, your requirements, is definitely a major key. So in terms of communication, you also want to make sure that you are receiving a quick response or a timely response. You don't want the supplier to be responding to you like every 12 to 24 hours. I understand that typically there is a time difference, but you know, they can reply. A lot of them do actually work like late into the early hours because they do understand that a lot of their customers are based like abroad. I've spoken to manufacturers during my working hours knowing that it's not their working hours, but at the same time I have also stayed up until midnight, which is when it's the beginning of their working day, to actually speak to them. I knew speaking to them at those hours was a good thing because I was receiving those quick responses and we were able to get to where we needed to get to quicker and more clearly, which brings me on to the next point, which is make sure that that manufacturer, that supplier on Alibaba has got a clear understanding of what it is that you want created or supplied. Another thing you want to make sure they're doing is asking relevant questions to what it is that you want manufactured. The last thing you want is a supplier to be like, yeah, cool, I can do that, when they don't even know what weight of cotton it is that you want for your t-shirt or what color your t-shirt is going to be. They're not asking the relevant questions, and that is all a part of effective communication. You also want to make sure that they have good knowledge of what it is that you want manufactured. So say it's a t-shirt, for example, that you want manufactured and you don't quite have the knowledge of, you know, what material that you want to go for. Maybe they're able to suggest, okay, maybe you can go for 100% ring sprung cotton in 250 GSM. That is a clear indication that they actually have knowledge of what it is that you want manufactured. But having said that, you don't want to be dealing with a manufacturer that's too forceful. So what I mean by that, guys, these are all things that I've actually experienced myself. But what I mean by that is, to say you've contacted a manufacturer and you want a t-shirt manufactured, for example, and you've said to them, okay, I want this t-shirt manufactured and I want it to be screen printed. Yeah, you want your logo screen printed and you've done your research, you've decided that that's exactly how you want it done. This could come across in two ways. Like, it could come across positively and it could come across negatively or forceful, but I don't know, I find it irritating personally when a manufacturer is like, no, I think rubber printing will work better or something along those lines. Now, in a positive sense, it could be that, you know, maybe they're suggesting a print style that is actually better for your logo. I feel like that's fair enough. But if you've told them that no, like this is the print style that I want, and they're just like, no, I think this will be better, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in forceful suppliers. And I feel like that all ties into their communication style.
Another thing that I quickly wanted to highlight here is that most of the time when a supplier is forceful like this, it's probably because this is the only style of printing that they can actually do. So they're doing whatever they can to ensure that they are getting you as business, which I feel like is a major red flag.
So point number 3 is positive reviews. You want to take a look at the reviews of the suppliers on Alibaba and make sure that they're positive. Seeing positive reviews, you know, it's a good thing. Obviously, it doesn't mean that you are gonna have a positive experience with this manufacturer, but it just gives you that little bit of confidence to feel like, okay, this manufacturer has got positive reviews, and hopefully I also have a positive experience with this manufacturer supplier. So I keep on using both terms interchangeably. This one's a cheeky one. So a lot of suppliers on Alibaba will actually offer you some free samples, and I feel like that is a good thing when it comes to finding a supplier. So check whether they are offering some free samples. Of course, you will probably need to pay for the shipping, which I feel like is more than fair enough. But if they're able to offer you some free samples, it just means that they are really interested in getting business from you, and they don't mind sacrificing a little bit in order for you to see that sample. It also, to me, feels like they are quite confident with what it is that they are supplying, that they are more than happy to supply you with a free sample for you to take a look at. Another thing that's a major key, which ties into this as well, is that to say you're looking for a fabric supplier, the really good fabric suppliers will literally send you like booklets upon booklets of like different fabrics that you can check out. It'll be like a booklet. I think I have one. Let me show you. So this is actually from a supplier on Alibaba, and it was just literally like these little like sheets of fabric, and they sent me these for free, guys. I don't think I even had to pay for the shipping, and it was literally just because they are organized and they are interested in my business, and they wanted to show me what they were about, and I really appreciate manufacturers like that. Okay, this next one could be like obvious one, and that is that they have competitive pricing for whatever it is that they're supplying you, and have also got competitive shipping. Now, I don't believe that they actually are in control of what the price of the shipping is, because obviously they use shipping companies, external shipping companies. But if they give you like a shipping price, you can definitely like negotiate that shipping price, or maybe change the way that whatever it is that you're getting is being shipped to you. So obviously, if it's being shipped by air, that's going to be a lot more expensive than say if you opt for shipping by shipping containers. But obviously, it depends how much time you have. If it's being shipped by sea, it's going to take a lot longer than say if it's being shipped by air, but then there's going to be a substantial price difference. But yeah, definitely make sure that the prices that they're giving you are competitive. Another really good thing that you need to ask, okay, if you don't ask, you don't get. A good supplier will be able to actually cover the cost of customs within the cost that they give you, but this is not something that they're going to offer straight off the back. This is something that you're going to need to ask them. So just ask the question. Say, okay, how much would it be to also cover customs within the shipping cost? Because I'm sorry, I just feel like this works out better, and typically it's actually a little bit cheaper than you getting that surprise bill from like FedEx months down the line, or getting a surprise bill before they actually release your goods. Just ensure that if they have covered customs in your cost, make sure they're including that in that trade assurance contract, so that if you do have any issues down the line, you're like, no honey, this was covered before, I already paid for this. I have never, till this day, you know, touch wood, I have never experienced like any issues. So definitely consider that, and a good supplier will be able to facilitate that for you. The next one, which is definitely a major key, you need to be working with a supplier that is able to accept criticism and critique. That's probably the same word, with the aim of resolving the issue, right? So I have worked with one of two types of suppliers on Alibaba, and one of them, I think it was socks that they had made for me, and the socks, the colors, I thought I had some close by, but basically there was a color difference between the two oranges, right? And when I received the socks, I complained, and also they had to like quickly had like wear and tear as well. So I just worn them for like an afternoon, and already they had like the little bubbles, and they just weren't very good. So obviously I complained to the Alibaba supplier, and they just jumped straight on the defense, like, you must have been wearing the socks like roughly, or you're walking barefoot with the socks on, like just like nonsense like that. And then when I complained about the color, they honestly insisted that the color was the same. I'm like, dude, the color is not the same. I'm literally looking at the socks, the color is not the same. So that's one type of supplier that just wasn't able to accept critique and didn't have any intention of trying to resolve it, and that just means that I have no business working with them. Then I had another supplier that sent me some fabric, silk fabric, and some of the parts of the fabric were misprinted or like faded or just poor in general. And as soon as I sent them pictures or whatever of it, they accepted their fault. Okay, they were just like, we were in a rush, we rushed this order, we apologize, and they were quick to resolve the issue. They were like, okay, we are happy to provide you with like a refund of the fabric since it wasn't to the quality that we want it to be to. And I just appreciated them. And even though they made a mistake with my fabric, it doesn't mean that I'm not ever gonna work with them again. I probably will, because they accepted fault and resolved it. I say all that to say, make sure you're working with a supplier that's able to accept critique and aim to resolve it. Number 8, make sure you're working with a supplier that has absolutely no issue with adding your specification to the trade assurance contract. So say you're producing some socks, for example, and you've sent them a tech pack of your sock. Make sure they are adding that tech pack to the trade assurance contract, so it's there if anything ever happens, you are able to refer to that contract and be like, boom, it was meant to be like this, but it's like this. Number 9, I wouldn't say if a supplier isn't able to do this, it makes them a bad supplier, but it would make them a better supplier if they are able to meet your minimums.
Hi, it's Editing Taddy again. I just wanted to highlight before I get into minimum order quantities fully is that avoid suppliers that advertise their minimum order quantity as 50, but when you start talking to them, the minimum order quantity was actually 100, 200 or something like that. Those sorts of manufacturers are a major red flag.
As we're starting out, guys, I know our minimums are not going to be, you know, that great, and we're probably ordering 30 to 50 products at a time, which of course isn't really what a supplier wants. So definitely finding a supplier that is willing to meet your minimums is always a really good thing, and it's rare. It is definitely rare. So in my starter kit, I've actually included some suppliers from Alibaba.com that have met some of my smaller quantities, and they are definitely suppliers that I will go back to because they supported me when I was ordering like 50 boxes, for example. The last point of what would make an Alibaba supplier a good supplier is the shipping and lead time. Okay, you don't want to find a supplier that, you know, is gonna take like 70 days to create your product, unless of course it's a complicated product. You know, I am in the clothing space, so I'm expecting like 2 weeks max, like especially from suppliers abroad, 2 weeks, 3 weeks max. And also you need to find a supplier that has got a relatively like good shipping time. To be fair, shipping tends to be out of their control, but they need to be able to have access to freight companies that are able to fulfill that shipping in a timely manner. So guys, I really hope that this video has been helpful, and moving forward you understand some of the different points that make a good supplier on Alibaba, and you have picked up some little tips and tricks when it comes to actually selecting a good supplier from Alibaba.com. Like mentioned at the beginning of this video, I do have my starter kit, which I will be linking in the description and in the pinned comment, and I definitely have an Alibaba chapter in my starter kit, which I feel like will be very, very helpful. As for this video, that is all. I will definitely catch you in my very next video. Please don't forget to subscribe, guys, and like this video, share it if you feel like it's been helpful, and yeah, I will catch you guys in my very next video.